On this episode, we're back with our Journey into Imagination series. And this month, I'm speaking with Greg Gately of the Funatics and the live podcast show. Today is January 19th, 2024, and this is episode 634 of the Main Street Magic podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts. Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and while I'm not joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda, I will soon be joined by my lovely blue-haired friend, Greg Gately of the Funatics and the live podcast show. But first, make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. You can also now follow us on TikTok at MSM Podcast. If you've not done so already, go out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, you get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. You were 60 days ahead of your trip and you got up early to make all those dining reservations, but you didn't quite get everything you wanted. Don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. So I am super excited to relaunch a series. It started some time ago called Journey into Imagination, where we had guests on the show to basically interview them and talk about all things Disney and beyond. Well, bringing this back for 2024 with a little bit of a twist. One thing is this will give Rhonda a break each month for at least an episode, as we know her schedule can be very hectic and us scheduling together can be really tough as well. Second, we have some amazing people and friends that we have met over the past several years that we have always wanted to get on the show, but I didn't want to just do standard interviews. So the way that Journey into Imagination will work is that we will have content creators, podcasters, vloggers, bloggers, anything you can think of in the Disney realm that are creating content for social media and beyond, and we'll have somebody on at least once a month. Now, for every episode, we are going to start with 2 standard questions. From there, I have a hat filled with about 20 other questions that we will randomly select during the show, and they will have to answer right off the top of their head. And how many we choose each show will depend on how long the answers are, so these episodes don't run, for several hours. And then we will finish every single episode with a rapid fire of the exact same quick question hits for every single guest. Super excited to have my new friend and sure to be yours, Greg, the blue hair blogger. If you're traveling around the Central Florida area, you won't miss his blue head walking around, probably taking images. He is the co-owner, photographer, podcaster, all-around nice guy, and curator of the most fantastical Disney blog, the Funatics blog. With over 3,000 articles written and countless images taken, Greg still enjoys living this amazing lifestyle. Let's welcome in Greg Gately. Greg, thank you so much for joining as we relaunch the Journey into Imagination series here at Main Street Magic. I am so happy to have you on, my man.
Ahoy, hoy, Jeremy, and thank you so much. I gotta say, I am honored to be on here. Main Street Magic has, I've been listening to you guys for years. You and Rhonda are simply fabulous, and it's a great listen every week. So, yeah, man, I am honored to be on. I have to throw it back at you and say thank you so much for... You were on our A Christmas Carol special that we did for the holidays
So
as a
fun.
gift to the fans. So, yeah, this isn't even a return the favor. I'm honored to be here.
Well, seriously, thank you. We've just come friends and met each other in about the past 6 months or so. I believe it was at Scott and Michelle's house over Memorial Day weekend. And we've connected several times since then and really started to get to know each other. And so, yeah, you were top of mind when I wanted to relaunch this series because you're so knowledgeable, you're so fun. And I know that this is going to be an absolute blast and the perfect way to kind of relaunch or restart this entire Journey series. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to go with the very first question that I will ask every guest. Where does your love of Disney and all things Disney come from?
What a loaded question.
Right?
Like, that is an amazing first question to ask, and it's a great question. Let's go back a little bit. When I was a child, and this is going back to the late 70s, early 80s, I remember my parents buying the first VHS player and buying the first clamshell VHS tapes. So my introduction to Disney was in 79 or 80, watching old Disney cartoons, watching Mickey Mouse. And I think it was around 82 that I got to see Tron for the first time and was blown away. Now, at the time, as a child, you don't know that that's Disney. You just go, that's a cool movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, you get the Mickey Mouse, the Donald, all this stuff. And it comes, and it's such a loaded question, man. I have to preface everything by let me tell you the story before that. Well, so in 1983, Epcot opened. The only time I ever went to Disney as a child was in 1983 with my parents.
Okay.
I have a vivid memory of riding the train, and that's it. Other than, and again, this is a horrible story, I remember seeing Tigger walking through by the Haunted Mansion in Liberty Square when the characters used to be able to walk by themselves. But I remember Tigger being punched square in the family business and just feeling empathy for this poor Tigger. I was just like, so I fell in love with Tigger at that point. I was like, I just wanted to hug this character. 8 years old, and I'm just there's so much empathy I have for this character who just some kid wailed him. I don't know. Anyway, so fast forward. In the 2000s, so my first career was as a tour manager and audio engineer for a band in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We got to play Epcot in the 2000s for Flower Power Festival.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you remember Flower Power Festival.
I do
but
not.
It was like
that was before my Disney time. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I was like 25 or 26 or something. So here I am playing Epcot. And back then, when you worked for the band, they treated you like you were kings and queens. And so they gave us hotel rooms, they gave us backstage, they gave us tickets for 7 days, all with park hopper. And I remember being escorted around Disney with a VIP. And after we would play, they'd rush us off to this VIP experience to watch the fireworks. And so,
wow.
Years later, when I finally went back for the first time with my family, I was expecting that same red carpet, if you would, not realizing how Disney had changed over the years, and I wasn't with that band anymore. And they were like, yeah, you're just a guest. Buy your ticket and go stand over there to watch the fireworks with everybody else. And it was a culture shock. So it goes back to, again, 2019. I brought my daughter for the first time, and she was 13. And we just, of course, you have the Disney movies that always play in your house. You've seen every Pixar thing. There was magic in the air. So I come back in 2019 with my daughter, and we're walking through Epcot. And the first thing I see as we round into World Showcase is they were doing a character palooza. And there's Tigger.
Oh.
And my 8-year-old self flooded out of me. The emotions, everything came out of me. And I went to grab my daughter to go, oh, it's Tigger, in this most excited way. And I accidentally pushed her into the bushes and left her there with my wife while I went as like a child, bouncing up to Tigger, just wanting to hug this character that I've not seen since I was 8 years old. And my daughter's like turtled up in the bushes. She can't get out. I'm hugging Tigger. There's tears coming down my eyes. And so my daughter won't go to character paloozas with me anymore. But it's so all that is to say that Disney holds a special place in my heart. It's these magical moments that Disney makes. I've toured around the world. I've been everywhere. I've gotten to do some amazing stuff. I've gotten to play the Super Bowl. I've been on stage at the Grand Ole Opry. I've played Madison Square Garden. But none of those make core memories like Disney does. I can still, to this day, round the corner at the Magic Kingdom from Main Street Confectionery and turn and see Cinderella Castle in front of me. And at 48 years old, still get a tear in my eye.
Yeah.
That's the magic of Disney. And that's what stuck with me and made me want to be a part of this. I remember watching Fantasia. When Fantasia 2000 came out, I had to do a deep dive on Fantasia. And I remember seeing it in an IMAX screen, and it starts off with the original scene of Fantasia on this like little letter box, kind of 4:3 wide. And then Fantasia 2000 starts, and it's this 7-story screen, and it just takes up, encompasses you. And it was the music, it was the animation, it was the history of everything. So it's, you can see, I have a million stories about what Disney means to me, and I think what it means to me is core memories. There's so many memories with family. There's something about going into Disney that the real world just disappears for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Whether we're working or not. And you know this, you and I, you will, along with Rhonda, will go into a festival and you're building content. You're talking to your audience. I do that every single time I'm there, but there's still something about going in there that takes the realities of what's going on around us and throws them out the door, because we're sitting there in this special world called Walt Disney World. And it's amazing to be a part of. So yeah, there's my love of Disney. It just comes back from, I have different stories about each one of my kids watching Disney movies. I have, like, my eldest grew up watching Meet the Robinsons. My wife and I bonded over. My wife and I have been married for 20 years this year.
Congratulations.
The first thing we ever bonded over was the Transformers. And we both, for some odd reason, had the same picture of the Waka Waka This Way sign from, at the time, MGM Studios.
Yeah.
And we just bonded. We're like, I have that picture. No, I have that picture. And all of a sudden, her love for Disney met my love for Disney. And here we are in 2024 living at Disney.
That's absolutely incredible. That is such a cool story. And what I love is the fact that I feel like you almost went opposite. Like, you started with being at the top of the Disney echelon. Like, you were, going there as like a VIP guest and being put up in hotels and getting park tickets and all. And even when you came back and realized that that was not the normal Disney for the average person, obviously, you still found that love for it. And that Tigger story is the absolute best. Like, that gives me chills just kind of thinking about that. Man, that's so great. So you, and I love, and sometime you and I are just going to sit and I just want to hear stories about your music days, because that fascinates me beyond belief, as growing up as a garage band musician and wishing I could have been to that type of tier. So we're definitely having a drink one night and talking about that. But what part of that and what part of your love for Disney got you to the point where you said, you know what, I'm going to turn this into a business. I'm going to turn this into my job, and I'm going to become a content creator. I'm going to write blogs. I'm going to do videos. I'm going to do social media. I'm going to start a podcast. What was that step like, and what kind of, I guess, springboarded you into saying, I'm going to take this giant leap of faith and I'm going to do this?
Yeah, so that's another loaded question. Let's see how succinct I can be answering the question one of these days, because you know me, I am long-winded and can just talk for hours on end.
That's what I love about you, man.
So let me go back. When I first started touring, I worked for an independent band. Our first gig was in front of 50 people, and we were lucky to have 50 people. It was some little eat-in club. You're not allowed to have a frat at Princeton University, so it was called an eat-in club.
Okay.
Basically, it's a frat house. Yeah. You're playing in front of frat kids who are having a good time. And imagine Animal House at Princeton University. Just smart kids doing Animal House. And for us, by the time I had left that tour 5 years later, we had sold out Madison Square Garden 3 nights in a row in 10 minutes.
Holy
we put
moly.
in 130,000 people at the Boston Hat Show.
Wow.
Just for people who know, that Boston Hat Show only fits 45,000 people. So we had to shut down highway in the middle of Boston because there were so many people at that event. To get to that point, there's a lot of work that goes involved in it.
Yeah.
Not being a musician, but being part of the production and road managing, tour managing audio. you have to learn how to deal with media people. You have to know how to deal with radio stations. You have to know how to deal with people on the inside to get your music heard, to get it out to the fans. So I learned a whole lot on how to deal with media people while doing that. Fast forward, and I got lucky enough to go on the road again with a band called the Young Rascals.
Mm-hmm.
They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they had 17 number one hits by 1971, 75 million records sold. And I was thrown into, you're the tour manager, you're in charge of this, make it happen. And you learn how to deal with companies like Disney. You learn how to deal with companies like ABC. Or we played the Super Bowl right before Paul McCartney one time. And you just learn how to operate in that world. I'd missed, one of the wonderful things about that is you live that rock and roll lifestyle. The other side of it is you're not with your family.
Yeah.
You're trying to build a career. You're not around your kids. You don't see your kids grow up. You don't get to go to birthday parties. You don't get to go to Chuck E. Cheese. You don't get to see the dance recitals or the plays or anything. One day I just decided I had enough and I wanted to be home. And we were living in Philadelphia at the time and loved it, but kind of happened around that same time, the learning about Disney again. I paid attention to what others were doing. The people who have been around for 10 years or so doing this, the Lou Mangellos, the Main Street Mouse, the other people who have been around, the Pandas, the Tim Trackers, like people who have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And I saw how they did it and I paid attention. I watched how others did it, and I'm going to leave no names on there, but I watched how people could become big and famous by doing it not a wrong way, but just a way I didn't agree with. Look, I'm not part of the TMZ crowd. I don't like Access Hollywood, but there's a great group of people out there who love that stuff.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I said, I don't want to be part of that. I want to be part of a different way of doing things, a fun way. I want to be able to put my spin on things. I want to be able to say in my own voice. And so that's kind of what I did. I learned by watching what everybody else was doing. So when it became time to finally do it for myself, I had spent so many times working for other people, making shows happen for other people, putting articles out for other people, that one day I just went, you know what? I would love to have my own name on the t-shirt. I have done this for so many other people and made them a whole lot of money that, this had nothing to do with, it just had to do with pride. It's like, look, if I could do this for other people, I'm going to take the bet on myself. I'm going to spend my own money because I believe personally that I could do it just at the same level that they are at, starting from square one, 15 years after all these people came before me. And I bet you I could do it just as well and put out the same content just with my different spin or my voice on things.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that if I do it right, people will want to pay attention. And I know that it sounds a little egotistical to say it that way, but it's not. It comes from a place of love and a place of passion because, again, I live 6.8 miles from the most magical place on earth. I get to live here on a daily basis. I get to go to the parks if I want to. I get to take my kids now with me if I feel like it. And it's like, and it's not just Disney, it's universal. Like, I will open the app, and if I see Velocicoaster at 20 minutes, I will take my daughter and go, let's go. And we will just head out the door and just have a good day. And it's a chance for me to spend time with my family. I'm in my own house all the time, and I'm covering and doing something that I believe in and I love, but it's not taking away from what those people I admire and who have come before me, who built this roadway for me to do this, because I still show respect for each and every single person who has done this before me. It's just a way of saying, hey, look, I know I can do this with my own name on the t-shirt, and I think I can do it at a good high level and keep at it.
That's absolutely incredible. And it's such a great journey. I wish I had known you a couple years ago when my brother, who has a podcast that's currently on hiatus, but we were doing an entire series on the unseen hours and what it took for, artists and performers and people in sports and business and everything to get to where they are, and all of the work that goes into it in the back end that nobody ever sees. And your story is all about that. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And you even talking about, you've done this for so many other folks that you wanted to apply it to yourself in your own business. I mean, it's the reason I started Main Street Magic. I'd been producing podcasts for 6 years for other people, and I thought I did a really good job at it. And I saw them succeeding and doing very well. And when time came around where I thought, you know what, people keep asking about Disney, why don't I just take the knowledge and everything that I've learned from working for other people and apply it to my own self? And,
right. And you and Rhonda do such an amazing job.
Thank you.
Like you can hear when you guys podcast the dedication that you have, but the passion that you guys have too.
And I think that's such an important part too. And I can see that obviously in you, and everybody can hear that in you. For the folks that have not met you, from the moment anybody meets you, we can see and feel your love for Disney. And you're transparent, you're honest, you're unique. And I think that's one of the other things that will be so interesting throughout this series in the content creation business is that there are so many people doing this. So you have to find ways to not only do it as well as they do, which you obviously do, but also what sets you apart and makes you unique. And you've found that niche as well. You can get the news from everyone. You can get podcasts from everyone. You can get vlogs and all this stuff from everyone. It's the way that you present it that connects with people that makes you unique and sets you apart. And you do such a wonderful job of that, which is why you've been such a success at it. And another thing, from the moment that I met you, you could tell you're like, this is Greg. This is who he is. And he is going to be who he is the moment you meet him. And
yeah, so let's rip the Band-Aid off on that.
Let's do that.
Let's be really dead honest about that point right there. Okay. So I am honest and myself to an absolute fault. And I mean that in the both positive and negative way, right? I have blue hair. Why do I have blue hair? I call it attention whore blue for a reason. It brings attention when you're at the park. It doesn't take away from other guests, but it gives you an extra second with every single character or cast member because they notice you. Owners and runners and vice presidents of the company notice you.
Yeah.
You stand out. Now, let's get even further. Let's get really deep here real quick, Jeremy.
Let's do it.
So, being myself to a fault comes because of mental health issues. And I think it's really important to point out to people that when I left the bands I was working for, there was a lot of mental health problems that go along with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of loneliness. There's a lot of time spent on the road. There's a lot of deep, dark stuff to become that level that go along with everything. So when you finally get home, you have to deal with those situations. Okay. I had to stop everything because of those mental health issues. I also had to stop because of brain damage. Right. So I had to relearn a few things.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things I learned was I no longer am timid. I say what comes to my mind to a fault. Whatever I think can spew out of my mouth to a fault. Sometimes it's really, really funny. 90% of the time, it's really amusing. And people are like, dude, this guy's funny. He just says whatever he thinks. And it's like, yes. But I do that because from that brain damage and those mental issues came a realization of who I was and what I wanted to represent in this world, how I wanted my kids to see their father in life. I didn't want them to remember me from coming off the road. I wanted them to remember me as the person I truly am. And that's honest, that's open, that's upfront, that's being the real person I am. So yeah, you have to learn how to deal with those things. And one of the things that Disney does, and we'll go back to the other question of why I love this, is it's not a hiding or a running from situations. It's an escapism from your own brain for a few minutes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But doing it in a positive light and getting it out of me. I have a creative side that has to come out of me somehow. So I get to do Instagram, I get to do TikTok, I get to do silly things like that. I get to, at MegaCon one year, I was known as Pikachu guy because every Pikachu found me and like chased me. And it was just weird, surreal stuff that happens around my life. But it comes from a place of when all this happened and everything went down, mentally, I said, how do I fix myself to be a better person to be around my family? And I'm lucky that Disney gave me that outlet because I need that outlet in life. I'm not a musician. Fun fact, I have no clue how to play one string. I can't even play a note on a piano. But man, I know how to make it sound like $1 million.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that's an innate ability I have. I can hear things so well. But I have a creative side that has to get out of me, and Disney allows that for me. So, and the reason I bring up the mental health issues is because not a lot of people talk about it. It's finally starting to come out more and more in the open, but I deal with a lot of anxiety. I hate crowds. In case you ever are with me and there's a crowd around me, I will put my back against the wall because I can't have anybody at the parks. Millions of people around us and noise everywhere. But I've learned how to deal with those things. I've learned how to deal with the ADHD I have. And just the issues that all come along with that. Like I have PTSD, and every once in a while it'll trigger at the park. But I've learned how to use what I have around me to make those experiences better. And one of those ways I've learned is to get an outlet, like putting out blogs, to writing about things, to being around friends of mine like you. When I get to, when did I see you? Jollywood Nights.
Yeah.
It's like I'm dealing with chaos around me, and then I get to see my friends, and it's like, oh, safe spot.
Yeah.
I'm around safety right now because I'm with friends. So that's where this creative side comes from. It comes from mental health, Disney helping these things, and then having a creative outlet to get all this stuff out. And that's like the long way of trying to say all of us have these things that's the reason why we do these things and why they turn out like they are.
Yeah.
And goes back to why am I like the way I am? It's because of these past experiences that I'm now me. I am irreverent. I am over the top. My own wife is like, dude, did you just shut up sometimes? I do a podcast with Scott and Michelle from the Main Street Mouse. And there's a lot of times I have to edit out things that I've said because I can see it on Michelle's face that the line was there and I just went one step too far. And I'm like, I don't need to get her in trouble. I'm going to back that one out.
Oh man. Well, first, thank you for being so transparent about all of that. Yeah, I agree. That's, I think ever since the pandemic, mental health issues have started to come more to light. But people are still so afraid to talk to them about them. And to be honest, as men, it's very, very difficult to talk about mental health and all of those types of things. So I really appreciate you bringing that to light. I think it's certainly things that we all deal with, and not everybody wants to talk about it. And having something like an outlet of the creativity or Disney, one of the things I've always said, Flight of Passage is always been one of my favorite rides, but I've gotten to a point because I've ridden it so many times that when I go on Flight of Passage, I barely look at the screen. I look at the people around me, and I can tell, this is a father, a mother, a daughter, a son, that it's their first time they've ever been on it. And you can watch the joy in their face, and you can watch for that 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes, whatever it is, the length of that ride, everything disappear from the outside world. And, they're not worried at that moment about finances and how they're going to pay for the rest of this trip. They're not worried about a promotion or the fact that they just lost a job. They're not worried about, health or any of these things that are going on in their everyday life. And I think that's something that Disney, theme parks, vacations in general can really bring out in people.
What a great point.
Yeah.
I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
please do.
I do the same thing now.
Yeah.
I love, and you can see on Avatar, if you're on the top right side,
Mhm.
you can see down and see like all those other carts, and it's
incredible.
massive.
It's incredible.
But I do the same thing, and I wrote in an article recently, a lot of people rush through the parks. They overplan. They spend a lot, and there's reasons to plan your hotel, your resort. You want to plan dining things,
Yeah.
but the rest of the day, it's people fill in every single minute, and then if that minute gets messed up, their vacation gets ruined.
Yes. Yep.
And it's like, no, what you need to do is you need to stop, slow down, because there's magic inside of the Magic Kingdom. Truly is. There's nothing I find more romantic. And I'm an old romantic sometimes. I was walking through Hollywood Studios the other day, and this guy out of nowhere is taking a picture with his girlfriend at the time. They're taking a picture. There's no family around him, no friends. And then he gets down on one knee and proposes to her. And
Yeah.
she says yes. And it's just those two. That is going to be a story they tell their kids and their grandkids. It's like, remember when Gary got down on his knee and nobody was with us, and then we had to go back home and he had to re-propose in front of all my friends? Like, that's Disney. That's the Disney. Stop and smell the roses sometimes. Like, there's so many little details. Stop and see the Imagineering that's inside these rides. People have put their time and their effort and a lot of sweat and blood and their love for this inside of each park. So when I get to see the we're having brand new baby, or the little kids holding up, I'm getting a little sister.
Yeah.
Like, I hate those things, but for some odd reason in Disney, they are the most magical experiences ever. Like, I don't care about going on Dumbo for the 900th time, but if I get to watch some little girl her first time and her hands are spread wide like she's Dumbo herself, girl, you get it. You be Dumbo.
Yeah.
You will remember this for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I was just long-winded way I was saying I agree with you.
No, it's perfect. And that's another thing we say is, like, it's okay to have a to-do list, but that to-do list should not determine whether your vacation was a success or not. Like, it's okay to have on your to-do list, I want to ride Rise of Resistance, right? But at the end of the week, if that didn't work out for your family for whatever reason, it didn't ruin your vacation unless you let it ruin your vacation.
So do you have, I know I just told my, do you have one of those stories? You got to have one of those stories where you're just like, I was in the Magic Kingdom and this guy was with like 30 of his guys, and his girlfriend walked up and she proposed to him. He said yes.
So we were in Epcot. This was, I'm trying to remember how long ago this was. I'm like, I'm like pre-pandemic and after pandemic. Like, that's my pre and post pandemic is my timeline of.
I think a lot of us
now.
do that now.
So I don't know which one it was, but we were walking through Epcot and we were heading through China, and there was a very small group. It was a bachelorette party, and I had never seen this before, but there was probably 5 or 6 of them, bridesmaids, probably mom or something, and they took a photo, a selfie. And then one of them went to a random stranger and said, "Will you come into our photo and take another selfie?" So now this is another person, or however many people are with them. After that, they said, "Now you go find someone." And they just kept handing the phone off. By the time we got around to it, there had to have been 30 of us in this group. And I'm taking a selfie of like 30 people. We only knew the 2 or 3 people that we were with, but everyone behind us. And it was just like this, and it went on for so many minutes, and just all these folks that started to join. And it's just, again, that's something, I guarantee it was pre-pandemic. This was probably 5 or 6 years ago. And it's one of those memories that just lasts with me for so long, because again, in that moment, nobody gave a crap about anything else except for that moment. And I think that's one of the things that Disney does like no other place that I've personally been to. Not like I've traveled the world the way that you have, other than the World Showcase, which I still think counts. But, it's those types of moments and those types of things that, are so dang magical at Disney.
Dude, the World Showcase does count, because I don't know how many times I've done some laps around there and been like, man, I feel like I've walked around the world.
Oh my God, yeah.
Literally, I've walked like 24,000 miles or whatever the circumference of the earth is.
Yeah.
But you're like, wow. Yeah, man, I love that. Like the other day, I got to sit in World Celebration, and it's park opening, and Pluto and Daisy are out there, and they do meet and greets in certain spots. And I walked in there, and there's Pluto leading a parade of children through
Love it.
World Showcase. He didn't even, or through World Celebration. He didn't even stop at his spot, which, like, the adults are like, I just want my picture with Pluto. But these 15 kids trailing behind Pluto, and Pluto sniffing the bushes and doing all this, and he's leading these kids around, and he's holding ones by the hand, and you just go, man, that's the Disney magic. Why do we do this? Because we get to see things like that on a daily basis, and it reminds us of our humanity.
Yeah.
It reminds us that really, with whatever else is going on negative in this world, we have 5 minutes of peace and love and togetherness.
Mhm.
And I'm not trying to be some old hippie thing, because I hate that, but it's the empathy we end up having towards each other, and the love that we have for each other. Inside Disney, you can see a lot of negative stuff, but then there's these magic moments that you go, yeah, this is why I do this.
Yeah. And it proves we're all the same.
Yeah.
In a world where that needs to be proven over and over again, we are all the same. And you're right. You'll see some of the negative things that happen, but and I understand from a point too, we're very fortunate that we get to be in Disney World so often. You every day, we're there at least every other week for several days, and we stay on property. We get to do all these cool things. But even for the folks, that are saving up and they're coming once a year, once every 5 years, you can still kind of go by these types of things that we're talking about, which is, take the time like Pluto to smell the roses and to, look back and reflect. I can look back prior to being a pass holder and realize there were times where, the kids are just looking at the back of me because I'm 10 feet ahead of them saying, we got to get to the next thing. We got to get to the next thing. I spent so much money, but some of my fondest memories are the time that we just slowed down and we enjoyed everything that we were getting to experience, and how fortunate, how lucky we are to get to go there. And I'm realizing it even more because as of Facebook memory showed up this morning that about put me in tears. It was 2 years ago today that we had our very last full trip with the girls as annual pass holders, and they decided they were burnt out and they did not want to be annual pass holders anymore. And I just looked at those photos, and I swear both of them have aged a decade in these past 2 years. But yeah, I looked at those and I was like, man, I don't think I even realized at that time how lucky we were and fortunate we were to be there as a family. And now I'm kind of missing that a little bit, even though we're still very lucky to go all the time. So it's, I wish people would slow down more. I know it's hard and I know it costs a lot of money, but what good is it to come back from a $5,000 vacation mad that you didn't do things and that you ran through parks and your feet hurt, compared to spending that money and having these memories of the fact that you waited in a queue and you played some stupid, silly game with your kids because you were trying to kill time. One of my favorite memories, we went with my parents and my brother. And at the time, 2 of his kids, his twin boys, and we were waiting for Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and it was going to be a long queue. And the kids decided to play a game where they would fill a cup with half water and see who could hold it on top of their head the longest before they spilled it. And that queue went by like it was nothing. And, I don't even remember watching the show that day. I don't remember watching Indiana Jones, even though I've seen it a ton of times. I remember waiting in the queue and these kids playing this stupid game that we all were just laughing at. So I think that's what keeps us doing what we do every single day.
So I'm going to give you I'm going to try and be short-winded on this long story.
I'm excited for it.
My you will be.
You have the best stories, man.
Really great. So my Facebook memory from today, and I'm dead serious, it's the 17th. So 1 year ago today, I started my voyage on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to preface this by saying 5 years ago, I started my day with my my youngest son, who was younger at the time. He is on the spectrum. He went to a special school and was stabbed at school.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and it was just as horrific as it sounds. From that time 5 years ago, this kid who was the most loving, outgoing kid in the world would not leave our side. He would not go outside. He has no trust in adults anymore. He, a lot of PTS, a lot of mental health issues, on top of being autistic, ADHD, on the spectrum with that, and hearing loss. So this kid has been dealing with stuff his whole life. So he went to a specialty school for kids on the spectrum. In Georgia, they mixed in the behavioral kids with the autistic kids, which made no sense to me, but that's how they did things. So kids, unfortunately, who came from broken homes and had just been released from jail would be put in the same school as kids who were on the spectrum.
Wow.
And he was attacked one day and ended up getting his mandible broken and stabbed, which is a horrific thing. And please bear with me because there's a positive outcome to this. I know it doesn't sound like it's there, which brings me to the last 4 years. We ended up moving down to Disney because we found that this is what we wanted to do. We were spending around $18,000 a year driving down here like every few weekends.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I can take this money and we could just buy a townhome next to Disney.
Yeah.
And which we did. But we also had to get him away from that area. He had nightmares. He was worried that this kid might return and do this to him, even though it was just an outburst that happens in school. So meanwhile, he's 300 pounds and the kid's attached to my hip for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
You go to walk and he's right there. I have tripped over this kid more times than you would believe. Like, I'm sorry, but he's a big kid. And you would think you'd be like, big kid next to me, I'm not going to trip. Nope. You go to turn sideways and there he is because you don't know what side he's going to be on. Amazing, amazing young man.
Yeah.
But because of these issues, no trust in adults. No trust. So he doesn't go to Disney very often. He likes going to Disney, but it has to be on off times.
Yeah.
So we always go Super Bowl Sunday because there's never a crowd there. So fast forward, get to last year. We had gotten a chance to go on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and I wanted him to go with me.
Yeah.
I wanted this to be a guy's trip. I wanted him to be part of a guy's night out and so we did a lot of investigation. We talked to a lot of people and they were like, yeah, listen, for kids on the spectrum, you will not believe how amazing the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser is. And I was like, okay. So I hyped him up for weeks. We knew we were going weeks and weeks, and the data pad would show up and be like, oh, and you would learn your path. And then we would watch videos without giving anything away of, hey, here's what to expect. So we got him ready to go on. So a year ago, we go on the Star Cruiser today. And it's myself and my son and my brother-in-law and a friend of mine. And Colin is like, he's got to say goodbye to his mother for the first time in years. He hasn't slept away from home ever. He hasn't been from a part of our sides for years.
Yeah.
We go through the Star Cruiser experience. And this is the magic of Disney I'm going to end it with. We are in deep in the Star Cruiser, in the Galactic Star Cruiser. And yes, it was amazing. But we're at the end and we're doing where the force is happening inside the outdoor section. It escaped my name, but in the garden section. And it's just a really heavy moment. And we've done all these things. We've had dinners and we've worked on the ship's captain. And we get to this point where we're using the force and Colin pulls up his phone and he goes, oh, Dad, I got to go. Wraith Cole needs me. And he takes off out the door.
Wow.
And I'm like, what? And he's gone. And all of a sudden, this kid who has not left our side in 5 years has left me to go hang out with Wraith Cole and complete a mission by himself, which means, A, he felt 100% completely safe in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
He felt accepted in that environment. He enjoyed himself. He found a little bit of himself in there. He felt a safe space for the first time in 5 years. So once we were done that, I walked out to the atrium, and this kid, 300-pound kid, is dancing across the atrium with Gaia, acting like he's protecting her. I'm just like, what just happened to my kid? This is my son. And tears just started flowing down my face, because all of a sudden, this must be what a parent feels like when their kid goes off to college. That moment when you see your child grow up and become a human being, when they become a person. You know what I'm saying? Like when they all of a sudden gain personality and sentience kind of thing. It's like, oh, they are now their own individual. That is Colin right there. And he is not like me. He is not like his mother. He is his own self. And that's what Disney gave us. And that's what Disney gives all of us. So why wouldn't we want to be part of this? Why? And by the way, kid freaked out when it closed. And I don't blame him. And he's just like, dude, when are they bringing it back? I'm like, I have no clue. I don't think they are, man. I don't know what's going on. But that's what Disney does for us. So that was again, it goes back to Disney has these little memories for you, for me, for everybody probably listening, because you're listening to a Disney podcast right now, that you probably have these memories that stick with you. I'm lucky enough to have really deep core memories because of Disney. So yeah, so that's why I cover it.
Wow. All right, that's like, this might be the last journey into imagination, because you're just killing this. This is amazing. What an incredible story, and I know that everybody will relate to that in some way or another. Just unbelievable. All right, well, this has already been incredible, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is I've got my Animal Kingdom Jumbo hat, which I for some reason decided to buy, like I would ever wear it. This looks much more like something you would probably fashion.
Oh, no, that one, even for me, that's too much.
Too much?
You win on that one, my friend.
I think I wore it that weekend we bought it, and then it's just sat around, but now I've got a use for it. So I have several questions in here. Greg doesn't technically know what they are, although he actually came up with a lot of them. I had put it out in the Main Street Magic community, questions that people would like to hear. You had a ton of great ones. Funny enough, about 50% of the ones you put down, I had already written down almost verbatim, which was nuts.
Great minds think alike.
Exactly.
You do enough podcasting, you kind of get a feel of what people want to hear out there. And again, what are you guys on, like episode 696 or something?
We're getting there, man.
If you don't have a feel for what you're doing, I don't know how you got to 696.
Should have stopped.
Should have stopped long a time ago.
So I'll pull these out, and then we'll just determine how many we do, because I do want to be respectful of your time and all. A couple of these you might have already answered. If so, I'll toss it aside. But there is a wild card in here. It is a blank piece of paper. If I pull that one, then you have to ask me a question. Is that fair?
I'm with you. Yes.
All right. Let's go for the first one. I'll go ahead and shuffle these up a little bit here. All right. That one I think you already actually answered. So we're going to move on to the next one. All right. How do you feel about the live action Disney remakes?
I love some of them and I hate some of them.
Okay.
And here's a good example. Look, I'm going to give you two good examples.
Perfect.
One, you come up with, like, it feels like a cash grab. But at the same time, there's a new generation of kids growing up who, to me, and here's a great example. I love Ariel is my Little Mermaid, right? Jodie Benson is my Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Part of Your World brought me back into that Disney fold at 12 or 13 years old. Like, that's my jam, yo. I still can listen to Jodie Benson sing that, and I love it, and I love that movie. But I'm old enough that I have a granddaughter, and my granddaughter is both black and white. Okay. So for Halle Bailey to be the Little Mermaid for this generation is emotional to me.
Yeah.
And just think of those kids get that same experience. And she called me and was like, I love it. That's my Ariel. I love that's why Disney needs to make these remakes.
Yeah.
That's because each one of these stories hits you differently. So, yeah, you want to remake this movie for another generation of kids and they're going to love it? Fine, go ahead. I don't care.
Yeah.
But at least do a good job with it.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid, they did a great job. Cinderella, they did a great job. There's a few others that they've done a great job.
Yeah.
But there's also some that you're just like, dude, that feels like you're just trying to cash in. There's no, like, look, Mulan could have been so much better.
Yep.
And I'm not trashing Mulan. I just don't have a connection to that movie. And there was a lot of things I personally, and that's my opinion, thought was flawed about it. So I love a lot of these live action remakes. Bring them on. Bring me Hercules. Bring me Rapunzel, Tangled. I'm all, just keep them coming, man. And I will watch the next generation of kids go, I love Disney. This is my mermaid now, or this is my princess, or this is my prince, or this is look, keep it up. So yeah, I love them and hate them.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that is such a great answer. And I love that you bring up the new generation. I think that's the part that's so important. And this will be the worst analogy ever, but I grew up loving RoboCop, right? Original RoboCop. One of my favorite movies ever. I know they remade it. I honestly didn't watch it. But it's understandable based on technology, based on everything, that our kids would potentially like the new RoboCop better than the original one. And I think of it in kind of that same vein, and I also like the fact that they're able to tell more of the story now. I like the expansion, like Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite live actions because of the way they were to bridge the gap between the animated one, which is outstanding, and they can both live on their own, but they were able to go ahead and show the part where they truly fall in love, where she falls in love with the Beast, as opposed to in the animated, it's kind of like, here we are, it just happened.
Now imagine if it was somebody else. Nobody gave crud to Peter Jackson for remaking The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'm
sorry, but that cartoon that originally came out, what is it, Rankin Bass or whoever did it, was horrific. Like, imagine if we didn't get a remake of The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think people just are a little too hard on Disney in this day and age.
I don't think it has anything to do with not having original ideas, because unfortunately, when Disney does have original ideas, everybody complains about those as well, and they don't do that great. Like, so it's Disney can't win.
No matter what they do.
We'll do a whole other podcast episode, an offshoot. Something.
We could talk for hours about that and how I feel people overanalyze it.
Yeah, no, totally. All right, let's bring up the next question, and this one is, okay. Let's just say, and I think I know the answer to this, but if you were not doing work, you were not doing content creation, that wasn't your job, you were working a 9 to 5 somewhere, which I know would not be very good for you. Do you think you would still love Disney World as much? You would want to visit the parks as much, or is so much of the work that you do tied to that it drives you to the parks more often?
I would probably work at Disney.
Yeah.
Like, nothing for nothing. And I've said this to many people. They need to hire me to be the mayor of Main Street, USA.
Oh.
Like, they need to just hire me to walk around and talk to families. Because I like, it's great. I will answer people's questions like, "Where's that? Oh, it's over there."
Yeah.
Like, you just know these. No, I think I would probably work in and around the parks. Like, look, I'd love to drive the monorail. Like, I know look, for the cast members who were there, they do a fabulous job, and I have a lot of respect for them. It would get mundane. I've never ever been able to hold a 9 to 5 job down. I am blessed. Truly blessed that my wife has. Like, nothing for nothing, she has been the stability in my life.
You and me both, brother.
That job down, and she's always gone, look, you are the dreamer. You go live your dream, and vicariously I will live through you and get to do all these amazing things. But she is the one who's just works 9 to 5. I don't know if I could do that. I could do that if I worked for Disney doing some special job. Like, they need to hire me just to walk around and hype them up. Like, I'm a good hype man.
You are. You so are. You're killing it for House of Mouse Expo. I can tell you that much. Which everybody can come out and see you at House of Mouse Expo. So yeah.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if this works. Wait, hold on.
Get it in there.
Hey guys, it's me, Kevin, the bear from
Yes.
Disney's Magic Kingdom. I'll be at House to Mouse Expo 2024, March 2nd and 3rd at Osceola Heritage Park Center. Join me, Kevin, the bear.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, you'd be a perfect hype man. It's funny. One of the questions in here is, and if I pick it, I'll just throw it aside. What is one job you would want to do at Walt Disney World? So I think you just answered that one as well. I absolutely love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Mayor of Main Street, bring it back. Hire
back.
me.
And we're both very fortunate to have the wives that we have. That is without an absolute doubt.
I am blessed and lucky.
Yeah. All right.
She has put up with these shenanigans for 23 years, and I don't know how.
Yeah, absolute angel she is. All right. Next one. Do you want a fifth gate? And if so, what would it be?
Good question. And no.
Agree.
Absolutely not.
Agree.
I think Disney has hit a new idea of adding lands or adding environments. I think they killed it with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. I think going beyond Big Thunder Mountain is such a brilliant idea. Look at what they're doing with Shanghai and with Zootopia, or Hong Kong with Frozen. I think you can build out these parks and take the land that you have around these parks and make them magical. And I think they will be crowd eaters. And look, you're going to get to a point where you're going to oversaturate the market if you go into adding another park. And then you have to add cast members, and you have to add all this other stuff. I think Disney's really doing a good job with just adding lands to these places. Yeah, I don't need a fifth park. I don't need another icon. I don't need any of that stuff. I just need not new and different. I think one of the things we get caught up in is because we're here all the time going, oh, I want new. I always want new. I always want new. But at the same time, listening to the people go, no, I want old. I want nostalgia. I want my childhood. And I think there's a great in the middle of keeping nostalgia where it is, but building new lands onto parks.
Yeah. I could not agree any more. And what a lot of people who want the fifth gate, you're already complaining about prices of annual passes. Let's see what happens when Epic Universe opens and how that looks like for the cost of everything over at Universal. Can you imagine a fifth gate and what things would cost? It's insane.
Imagine pulling a Universal and making you charge to go into each individual zone of that park.
Exactly.
Like, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm good. Like, and that comes down to, do you feel like you get your money's worth by paying an annual pass of $700 to $1,200 a year for that pass? And the answer is, yeah, right now I do.
Yeah, completely.
I think if I calculated it, I'm spending like $10 a day to go to the park for the year. Like, that's how often I go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Disney's hit on something. These lands, and if you look at how good some of these lands are in other countries, or we have the space.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to throw another land in? You're just going to, like, traffic. You're going to have to build more roads. Like, people don't think of the infrastructure that has to go along with it. And then the hotels, the more people, you're just bringing in more and more and more. And at some point, we're going to oversaturate everything, and you're just going to be like, you know what? I don't want to drive. Like, even my drive in on Western Way is getting a little crowded.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's only a 5-minute like parking stop thing, and I'm like, darn you kids, go away, you tourists,
get out of my yard.
Yeah.
Well, and if you look back even over less than a decade, and I'll miss a few, I'm sure, New Fantasyland, Pandora, Toy Story Land, Galaxy's Edge, go to individual rides like Tron, Cosmic Rewind. We've got Ratatouille. We've got the Moana walkthrough. I mean, just look at what we have been given in less than a decade, and people still aren't happy. And
Dude,
we don't have to get into a comparison game down the street.
Epcot
but
you were in Epcot this past weekend.
Yep.
Doesn't World Celebration feel like you're walking into a new Epcot?
Yeah.
Like, the park
100%.
has a new feel to it. That whole front section of Epcot feels almost brand new. You have Guardians, Creation, Connections, Moana, and all of them work so well together. It's there's a flow to that park that it feels new.
Yeah.
I'm fine fixing these things up, adding new lands.
Agreed. And World Showcase still has expansion pads that at some day I hope will be filled, as opposed to putting that into a fifth gate. Like you said, that the infrastructure, everything is not there. And I don't think people realize, You're not just plopping somebody into another fifth park that's the villain's park that never was really going to happen, but everybody thinks it was. Like, it's just
right. What parent? And here's a great idea. If people really want a villain's land, think of this to yourself, right? There's a lot of people out there who come to these parks and rightly or wrongly think of Disney one way or the other, whether liberal or Democrat. And I'm not getting political in this. What I'm going to say is this. There is a lot of people who have beliefs or are religious who are never going to take their kids to a place called Villain's Land.
Yeah.
Why would you take 50% of your audience and basically tell them no?
Yeah.
And it's Disney has to think of those things. They have to think along the lines of politics now. They have to think of religious lines. They have to think about the times of cultural, of race. They have to think about all these things and try and speak to everybody somehow.
Yeah.
And Disney's one of the only few companies that has to do that, or they're called out left and right on these things.
Yep.
And I hate getting deep into the woods on this, but the truth is if you are a churchgoer and whatever your religion is, you are not going to want to go into a place that's full of villains. You're going to say, no, that's filled with evil spirits. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment when I say that. That's just the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And no, you're right. And Disney's always going to have a target on their back, no matter what they do.
Yeah. So I don't think you will ever see a Villain's Lair. Villain's Land, Villain's Lair. I don't know what that is, but that's at the top of the world.
That is. It's quite fun, actually.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
All right. Next one. What do you think is the most difficult thing about being a content creator?
Ooh. Yeah, man, you got great questions.
Another loaded one.
You can tell how long you and Rhonda have been doing this. It's like, I'm going to hit you with the tough ones. The toughest part is staying on target.
Yeah.
All right, let's use the Star Wars reference. Stay on target. You can get distracted really easily doing this. You can get overwhelmed doing this.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that we're all juggling at all points in time. There's a lot that we all have to think about. We have to think about articles, podcasting, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads if you're on Threads, X, formerly known as Twitter, maintaining relationships with people. There's a lot that you're juggling all at the same time. And I think that's the hardest thing, is knowing where to present information at the best time to your audience or to people to get the most out of it. And I think that's probably the toughest thing of the whole thing. The hours never bothered me. Like, I've always kept weird hours, the constant pace. Like, I did 16 parks in 5 days in the past week.
Wow.
That doesn't bother me. Like, I'm still joyful to leave my house at 8 a.m. and get to Animal Kingdom. It's getting the information out there in a proper way and not being overwhelmed by how much content you can get at one point.
Wow. Your answers are so good. If anybody ever asks me to be on their podcast, I'm just going to have you go on instead, because your answers are kind of like, to be honest, they're kind of like, they're what I'm thinking, but you just are able to give them so much more
it's
eloquently.
Honesty. It's being so on. Look, you and I both know you can have a conversation with somebody and we can walk off air and go, great conversation, great podcast, but all the answers were filled with BS answers.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us have to play this game, or we have to keep an image up. We have to keep our walls up.
Yeah.
With me, there's no walls. I am honest. I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. But on the opposite side, I'll help you out. I will give you all the information I have. I got an email. Here you go. It's yours. I give away a lot more information than I probably technically should. And I give away a lot of my thoughts. And it's like, no, this is what I'm thinking exactly at this time, because this is the truth in my head.
Yeah.
So it's you and I have been through those games of, okay, we can sit around and say how great everybody is and how great life is and everything's, look at Disney, it's all happily ever after. look, sometimes I wake up and put the wrong shoe on. It's just like, sometimes I forget to put my pants on and only have Lost Princess apparel leggings on.
They're like butter. They are like butter.
They are like butter with pockets, by the way.
With pockets. Yeah.
Not a sponsor, by the way.
Yeah, hey, lostprincessapparel.com. No, we will pump them anytime we can.
So yeah, it comes down to I'm just being honest. Like, and that's why I love having this conversation. Yeah. You and I can sit here and just be honest and have a real, like, if you ever want to sit, you asked me to come on, I was like, dude, you do know how real I'm going to be, and you were like, yep, I'm ready for it.
That's exactly why I had you on first, because this is what I want this to be. It's conversation, because this is the same conversation we would have if the mics weren't on. Like 100%, everything would be the exact same. And so, I always think that's super important. Yeah. All right. I got another one for you if you're ready. Not loaded at all.
I'm always ready. Let's go.
Not loaded at all. How do you feel about the current state of the Disney parks and the changes that have been implemented since the pandemic? Genie Plus, get rid of Magical Express, everything that's changed. You don't have to go one by one, but in general, do you like that direction that the Disney parks are headed, or do you have a lot of fault with them?
I don't hold fault with a lot of corporate decisions. We are not in the room where those decisions are made. We don't know the behind the scenes stuff. Yeah. We hear rumors a lot, and the problem that we're in is we can't deal in rumor and innuendo. We can't sit around and go, well, the rumor is that Mears Transportation or Magical Transportation was going to double their charges on Disney, and then Disney was going to pass that along to you, and you were going to end up paying another $200 to $500 to go from here to there. Like, you're not allowed to say that, which I just did. We're not in the room where a lot of these decisions are made. We also have to think in this day and age of, it's a corporate world. We live in a capitalistic society. Disney has shareholders to answer to. Bob Chapek took a lot of flack for basically being dead honest about that. He was like, look, this is making us money. We need to make money in the times of pandemic, and then we'll reevaluate things. You look at the parks. The parks have made like $27 billion or whatever that last year in the fiscal year. And you go, oh, okay, but then that's covering expenses of other Disney operations. To us, it's Disney parks. But to many other people, it's movie business or ABC or ESPN or sports or whatever have you. I mean, look at how much R&D department is spending. So I don't question a lot of those things, because I also realize I did not go to business school to understand the concept of why things are done. I see the outcomes of them. Look, I understand Disney Genie Plus, why they did that. They sold out over Christmas weekend, and at 100,000 people, probably, if not more, going through the parks. That's like $3.2 million they made just off of that one service.
Just like that.
Like, they're a business. They are in this to make money. Now, at the end of the day, we get to live in their world, but it's their world. Don't anybody ever think differently. This is Disney's world. We just get to play in it.
Whew. Man, do you, on your little pad thing, do you have like a button that sounds like an explosion? Like, because you just dropped some bombs.
No, wait. No.
Like, I got to get one of those.
No, I don't.
that was close.
I need to add that.
That would be such a good one for the live podcast show, because that's such an outstanding answer. But as this entire conversation has shown for both of us throughout all of the changes, which we obviously are not going to ever agree with everything, and we both understand it is a business. There's a bottom line. We don't get to see that spreadsheet. We're not the bean counters. We're not the shareholders, or at least I'm not. You probably are a shareholder.
Look, and I will tell you a positive thing about this. I love the reservation system. As an annual pass holder, I think the reservation pass holder system is brilliant. And I'll tell you simple facts why. I can look at a park and go, oh, it's almost full. I'm not going to that park today. Or I can go, oh, all parks are open, we are in a slower time, I can then figure out how I want to deal with my park day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fully believe that to get the most out of what we're doing and spending, the reservation system at the end of the day helps Disney decide whether they open up Golden Oak or whatever some of these side restaurants and quick services are. They know how to get these cast members into place or to have more or less depending. So I get it. And I totally agree with a lot of some of these decisions. Other ones, look, is it up to me to decide whether it's right or wrong? No. But go for it, man. I will deal with it however you put it out. And I will, if people ask me about it, I will give my opinion. And my opinion is simple, man. Disney is Disney, and they will do what they want to do no matter what I say or write. They're not going to change a darn thing because of me.
Yeah. And again, and the magic's not gone. That's what this entire thing's been about so far. Is the magic is not gone. We're both feeling it every time that we visit the parks, and I think if you come back saying the magic is gone, that's what you were looking for. You were looking for that one cast member that was having a bad day, and that's what you're putting your focus on. Yep. And there's not a need for that. You got time for one or two more, because I do want to be respectful of your time, but I'm having just. This is
good,
amazing.
man. We can keep going until you get sick of me.
Oh, never. Okay, well, this is kind of something we almost mentioned before. How concerned do you think that Disney is about Epic Universe opening up? Are they paying attention? Do they care? Do they not care? What are they going to do to react to it?
Love this answer. Your audience is going to love this answer, because I have an answer.
Okay.
0.
I feel
the answer is 0. Universal, no matter what they do, will always be an and but.
Mm-hmm.
They will always be and then. What are you doing this week? I'm going to Disney, and then I'm going to go to Universal for a day or two. Oh, you're going to Disney? Yeah, I'm going to go 4 days to Disney, and then I'm going to do a day at Universal. Universal is individual parks. Why is Walt Disney World called Walt Disney World? They are a bubble unto themselves where you can get everything you need, and you do not leave that world of Disney. Your resorts, your busing, your transportation, everything, Disney Springs. You can do everything you need to do and stay inside this bubble and never have to leave. And it was brilliant to have that concept. Universal is 2 parks with a mall,
mm-hmm.
with some amazing rides and
mm-hmm.
some amazing lands. They have some amazing stuff over there. Don't get me wrong. But then you have I-4 and then iDrive cutting off a whole nother park and all these other hotels from the main thing.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with a touristy section of Orlando to get over to this new park. Yeah, this new park's going to have Nintendo. It's going to have Pokemon. It's going to have another Wizarding World. It's going to have monsters. That's great. None of those IPs are Disney. And Disney folks love them some Disney.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to watch Disney, and then I may go watch Jurassic Park. Universal will always be and then.
Wow. What a great way to put it. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I've never thought that Disney's sitting back and worried. And while I can appreciate Universal's social media team, it also is such a cry for help as the baby brother, and the responses that they give. And we do love Universal. We're unfortunately giving up our passes in March, but that's more a financial thing.
Universal.
Yeah, it's outstanding.
I think Universal just needs to sit back and go, look, we're making millions because we live next door to Disney.
Let's be Universal. Let's just be Universal. We don't have to worry about Disney.
Distinctly Universal.
Yeah.
You have Harry Potter. Make it. Where's the Harry Potter hotel?
Right.
Where's the Jurassic Park? Do more than just add rides. Okay, Velocicoaster, one of my favorite roller coasters of all time.
Unless it's raining.
That is the most painful ride in the world. In rain,
that story, you and Michelle telling that story is one of my favorite things ever.
It's so brutal. But yeah, look, again, the stuff they're putting in there, it's all fantastic. But there's a connection can you sit back with any other IP in Universal like you can and debate princesses? Who's the greatest princess at Universal? Who cares?
Yeah.
Because there isn't. They have separate IPs to come into one. Whereas Disney is the IP. Disney is the big dog. And look, Disney doesn't need to do anything. And Universal, and again, I love Universal, but just as you just put it, be distinctly Universal. Be yourselves. Who cares what Disney's doing?
Yep. And
people need to realize that, again, Universal is NBC and they're major corporations. And look, they're going to open. I guarantee you, they will get more people going to with the new Universal in Dubai than will ever hit Epic.
Yeah.
And because that's going to be their market. They're opening up markets overseas in the Middle East and in England, they're looking at a new place and a small little Disney World for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's my snarky answer.
I think it's such a great answer. And I'll sum up that one before we get to the next one that Rhonda and I have always said is, when we're not at Universal, like we love Universal, but when we're not there, we don't miss it. When we're not at Disney, we miss it.
Great way of that's succinct right there. I don't know how to be succinct.
Just the way it is. I don't even know what that word means. So I'll Google it after that. That one we kind of answered. Let me look on to another one. Oh, this should be a pretty good one for you. Which Disney IP that is currently not in the parks do you want to see brought to life, and how would you bring it to life in the Disney parks?
Oh, that is a good one. Oh, we've had these discussions many times about stuff that you don't see. And, I really feel that certain Pixar films are not like, I would love to see Wreck-It Ralph. I would think Vanellope's Raceway would be great, or even a virtual reality around Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, man. Wow. I'm thinking through all the different IPs, and the good thing is I can look behind you or me and see a whole bunch of characters and
find
go,
them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like you see a lot of these new movies, like Elemental or Strange World. I think would do really well in the parks. I'm an Atlantis fan.
Yeah.
So I would love to see the Lost World, a little bit of that, but I don't know. Like, to come up with a whole big thing, like, you have to think massively. And it's like, I get Encanto. Like, if you want to bring Encanto, I understand that. You could bring the Villa, Casa de Madrigal. You can bring that over. I totally get those. To really sit back, like, I'm an old school Black Cauldron and Black Hole and Tron fan. Like, I got Tron. Man, did that hit all the feels for me? Like, I'm good with that. Black Hole, nobody else likes except for me. Like, nobody's gonna care about going onto the spaceship and riding out. Like, so yeah, I get Encanto. I think that works. I would like to see more Wreck-It Ralph because I think that world opens itself up to a lot of virtual reality, a lot of kids. And I know here we go back to Universal is really big on screen rides. And then the Mario ride they have now, Mario Kart. Like, I would love to see Vanellope, Yvonne Schweitz. What is that racing game? Like, I would love to see that, or just that whole world, like that where Star Wars Launch Bay is. I think you can do more stuff over there, and I would love to see that. I loved Elemental. I would love to see that fire and water world come to life in one of the lagoons, either at Animal Kingdom or something like that. So I'm looking at what Disney has, and you can see I'm more of a pragmatic person about all this stuff. It's like, what works for everybody type thing. For me personally, bring back the Black Cauldron. Like, it's like the worst ending to any movie of all time. It doesn't make any sense, but man, do I love that. Sword in the Stone too. Like, bring me back Sword in the Stone.
There's a lot they could do. Robin Hood.
What was the man with one red shoe? What was the thing with the tennis shoe? What was those old Disney movies on Disney Channel?
Yeah. Like, was it the computer that wore tennis shoes?
Yes, thank you. That's what it is. What's the man with one red shoe? It's
Shaggy
like Tom
DA. Like, we can get into.
I love the Shaggy DA. I'm all about, especially not the remakes with Tim Allen or whoever did that, but the original one.
I don't think I saw the remakes.
Yeah, not Fred Astaire, but it'll come to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. We're going to move on. This is so much fun. Seriously. I'm having a blast, man. I appreciate this and your time. That one, let's see. We'll go to another one here. Actually, I have one. I'm just going to, I know because this is one I just pulled it out. This is one you suggested. I had it written down. What do you think about the term Disney adult?
Oh, see, that's, yeah. And I should have thought that I put that down, and I don't think I knew how I wanted to answer that at the time.
It's one of my favorite questions.
Yeah, so there's a difference between being an adult who loves Disney and being a Disney adult. Like, and there's, again, it's like any fandom out there, there's certain levels to it. Yeah. And it's okay. I'm going to be really honest with you, and people are either going to love this answer or hate this answer. I do believe that there's a lot of people out there who have undiagnosed mental health issues who use Disney as an excuse to go above and beyond the normals of reality and make themselves out to be bigger or different than what they truly or who they truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those type of Disney adults ruin it for a lot of other Disney adults out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being an adult who has an emotional connection to your childhood. There's nothing wrong with being a Disney adult who is living in the real world, but can also suspend that real world for a few minutes to find happiness and joy in whatever way you can find happiness and joy. Nothing really bothers me. The Disney bounding or the over the top doesn't bother me. It's the making your whole personality out of Disney as an adult that really bothers me to a certain extent, where it's, that's all that you can talk about. That's all they can do. That's all they can, and you can see in them and you can meet them and go, I think this person has an undiagnosed issue that really needs to be addressed by a professional. And I'm not that professional.
Yeah.
It's not my place to judge them. And it's not my place to tell them what they're doing is wrong or right. But you can see that some people have those type of issues. And you don't know. And I don't ever want anybody to pity somebody like that. I don't want anybody to ever look down on somebody like that, but sometimes that type of fan base can ruin it for other fans out there. So again, there's different levels to being a Disney adult, and to that answer can become really loaded and very in-depth and very psychological to a lot of people. And who am I to trigger somebody on what they like or what they don't like? As long as you're not sitting around ruining it or bothering it for other people on a daily basis, you do you, boo.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do to get through this world, because again, there's a lot of bad stuff out there. And if you need Disney to get through, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. But you know what? Just stay 10 feet away from me.
Yeah. you bring, that's such a great answer again. And you bring up so many good points, because I think there's so many difference between it being internally, where we would consider ourselves adults who love Disney, and externally, who people would look at you and I and think we're crazy pants. You know what I mean? Like, but there's a very big difference. But yeah, I think you bring up another good point where you say, if your fandom or the Disney adultness is to a level that it is hindering other people around you, like when you're at Disney, I think that becomes an issue. But yeah, you know, and even like kids aside, and I feel so bad. Like we have so many friends that don't have children. You know, they're around our age and they decided not to have children, but they love Disney because it, again, like you said, it brings them back to their childhood.
Right.
And what does that hinder or do to anyone else around them? Absolutely nothing. You know, unless they're walking around taking selfies in people's faces for their influencing and they're pushing people aside from a parade route, whole other story.
What's so crazy is I don't view those people who do that as Disney adults.
Yeah.
I do that as that's a societal thing where people just want attention, and infamy and fame means more in this society than it did back when we were growing up. And it's like, Yeah, so I see those people all the time. I'm like, that's not a Disney adult. That's somebody who just wants to become something that they're not right now, and they will try anything to be that way.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
and that's one of those things that social media has exemplified. Like my parents went to Disney for their honeymoon back in 73, 4, something like that, whenever they got married. Actually 74, because this will be their 50th. Yeah.
wow,
So
congratulations to them.
yeah, amazing. But it's one of those things, you know, and they would continue to take us back as kids, and they still love it. But there wasn't the social media connotation of saying, that's a Disney adult. That person's at Disney all the time. That they're crazy. You know, it's more of the external media and social media that I think looks at it with a negative light. That's unfair to a lot of folks that just love Disney. Like nobody says, "Oh, you're a beach adult." What a weirdo. You go to the beach all the time?
Right.
You're psycho. Like,
let's
what?
go back a few seconds, because if you go back and you talk to people who ripped on the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, what, you're going to pay $6,500 for 4 people for 2 nights? Dude, have you ever ripped on somebody who went to the Super Bowl for $12,000 for 1 3-hour game?
Thank you.
Like, come on. Like, just stop the judgment. Like, that's all I ever ask of people. It's there's no reason to pit one against the other, which is what we're so good at doing it. But you bring up your parents, and I'm going to turn the tables on you for 1 second.
Please do.
You bring up your parents, their 50th anniversary, so they used to go as a kid. Do you find that Disney has added to your relationship with Rhonda? Do you find that you have a better friendship as a couple because of doing this and living in this lifestyle?
Yeah, completely. I mean, you know, we've been, I know you're 20 years this year, which is incredible. We'll be 18 years this year in April.
Absolutely impressive.
You know, we met not over a love of Disney or anything like that. You know, I was in Maryland. She was here. We met through again, whole other story, involves the band Creed. I don't know if I ever told you that. We'll get into that another time when we sit down and have.
I did not know Scott Stapp was going to show up during this episode. Where's my bingo card?
Where you need your Scott Stapp little voice thing on there. You could probably use Kevin the Bear at the same time, but
could.
Yeah. So I mean, really, we came together.
She took you higher.
She did. Yeah. Yeah, and I greeted it with arms wide open.
But we could do this all night. So anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, so we met, and you know, I'd been to Disney several times throughout my childhood. I actually went there for my senior spring break in high school. It was just where, you know, me and my friends weren't troublemakers. We weren't going to like Daytona Beach. We're coming from Maryland. We weren't going to Ocean City. We weren't coming all the way down to Florida or going to Havasu or something like that. We actually came to Disney, and I enjoyed Disney. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed a lot of the movies. I was a huge fan of Toy Story, as at that point, I don't know, I was probably 15, 16 years old, but I fell in love with Toy Story. And when I moved down here, we went as Disney adults. We didn't have kids, and I really enjoyed it. And then when Kaylin was born, we took her for the first time when she was 18 months old, and she met Mickey Mouse. And I thought it was going to be the dumbest thing ever because she's 18 years old. Who cares? She's not going to remember it. And it's my favorite Disney memory of all time because while she doesn't remember it, I will never forget it. And I was like, okay, this place is pretty cool. So we would buy, they used to do the Florida Resident. You basically bought 2 days, you get a day free, and you could use them within a 6-month period. So we would go twice a year. We'd stay on property at a value resort, usually All-Star something. And yeah, we just started going. And then I remember it was October of 2000, would have been 15. Rhonda and I went down to see 21 Pilots at the House of Blues at Disney Springs. And we stayed at Port Orleans French Quarter, our first moderate ever. And there was all of a sudden this connection of, we love this place. We want to come here more often. Let's become annual pass holders. And as we started to take the kids back, and she grew up on Disney. She grew up in Florida. Her mom, I think, still has every clamshell VHS you can think of stored somewhere, you know? And she went growing up, moved from Tampa to Jacksonville, was always Disney right in between. And I can say that it has become obviously a major part of our relationship. And with how busy that she is every week, I know, and we have an incredible relationship, and we go down to Disney and we do date nights, and it's amazing. But I know for 2 hours every week. Her and I are going to sit in this studio, this office, and we're going to talk Disney. And we're going to talk about our memories. We're going to talk about what we did that weekend. We're going to talk about the things that we love. And it 100% has brought us together and kept our relationship strong for, going on 18 years now, easily. Yep.
Yeah. See, you didn't even have to pull out that white piece.
If I bring it out, I'm just throwing it in the garbage. And that next one was it. So that was well timed.
There we go, man. See?
All right.
We got this down, man. We should do this again.
I'm going to get you for one more.
Okay.
Because I do want to be respectful of your time, and I know we could do this all night. So I'm going to get you for one more.
Yes, that's what I'm learning is apparently you and I can talk about all this stuff because I haven't even turned these back on you yet.
No, that's a whole other thing, man. I like this one. This should be a good way to end it. You are given the keys to Disney World. What are you doing for 24 hours? That's definitely a loaded question.
That is so loaded question, man.
And by keys, we'll say almost like your own private 24-hour VIP tour. What are your favorite things to do in a sense? Where are you going to eat? What are you going to ride? What are you going to see show wise?
Yeah, that's so I did the 4 park hopping on the day that park hopping came back. And it's like you do your normal. So your day is you're going to do the normal stuff. You're going to do Animal Kingdom. You're going to hit Avatar, hit the Safari, Guardians, of course, Tron and stuff. But to me, the magic happens at nighttime. Mm-hmm. I want to hit Luminous, and then I want to see Happily Ever After back to back. Yeah. I want to be able to monorail right away and get to the parks. But to me, I've been blessed again and lucky to do media events. And I've walked through the parks when there's nobody else there.
Yeah.
I got to speak to, when Melissa Valaquette was the vice president of Magic Kingdom. And I was like, you've worked here so long. Is it still magical? And she was like, yeah, I get to come in here when nobody else is here. And I get to and she's like, I have a spot that I like to take cast members to. And I like to have them sit there with me for half an hour and just enjoy what this is all about.
Oh my goodness.
And to me, I think I would get the most out of being in the parks after hours when nobody else was there.
Yeah.
And it's like, here's what, so I love Disneyland. Disney World's home. Okay. So you'll never hear me talk bad about Disney World. You'll never hear me talk bad about Disneyland. But I would love to be overnight at Disneyland, walking in Walt Disney's footsteps.
Ugh.
I would love to walk through Walt Disney World and have a few hours to walk through the Magic Kingdom with that dream of what Walt Disney and Roy Disney had put together so many years ago. I wanted that magic that's in the air, that time before it's opening, that expectations of these families are going to come in here and make memories of a lifetime. I want those few hours of just loneliness and be able to sit there and contemplate life. And I think it would be just so cool to sit in front of Cinderella Castle with nobody. Like, I don't want Sleeping Beauty. I don't want Cinderella's royal chambers, none of that. I want to sit in the hub and reflect on my life. I want to sit there and go through all the details and all the good and even bad that I've been through in my life. And I want to sit there and be able to contemplate it all and know at the end of the day that my kids will look up to me with respect and admiration in their eyes. And my wife will look at me with love in her eyes. And just know that this is the reason why we do this on a daily basis, because I've had such a blessed, magical life, but there's something about sitting in that hub with it's quiet and it's peaceful and there's not a lot of people around you where you can just finally shut off the world around you and finally have that moment to yourself to really reflect on what you have in life, all the good things that you have, because I've had it good, man. I've had it good. And I think Disney has led me on a path to even have it better, with friends, with family, with close relationships with people. So I think that's what I would do. I think I would sit there and reflect.
Wow.
That's the worst answer. That is the most cheesiest answer ever.
Incredible.
How are you
I'm
going to let
ripping it
me
up.
get
Nope.
away with that?
I'm gonna rip it. I'm gonna rip up that question. It's done for the rest of this series. That's unbelievable. I absolutely love
and it's
that.
the truth.
Yeah.
I'm thank you and I want to say this, and I mean this from the bottom. Thank you for letting me be honest. Thank you for letting me just be myself. Because
Thank you for being honest. That's hard to do.
It can become a lot for
Yeah.
people, and I seriously, I internalize a lot of things and I overthink a lot of things. But yeah, I think that question is such a good question because there's so many things that we have. Like, yeah, it's great doing rides, eating here, and doing all this. Those are great things. One of the things I love about Luminous, and I think Disney's doing really well, just go off though on a tangent real quick. It's like Luminous. It's they want you to project your thoughts and your opinions onto a fireworks show. Man, what a trip that is.
Yeah.
Like that is so depth. And I'm not saying people are dumb, but people don't have a lot of time to reflect on things like that. You're on vacation. You don't want to think deep thoughts. I, on the other hand, want to think those deep thoughts. I'm at a point in my life where it's like, I'm not philosophical. I'm not a deep person, but internally and mentally to myself, I love having these conversations.
Yeah. Agreed. One of my favorite things to do, and I used to do this when I was doing more solo trips, I'd go down for the day and I'd try and get some content or something. And it's just harder now because I'm old. It's a 4 hour
that does catch up with us.
It's a 4 hour round trip, and I'm just like, oh man, what if I'm tired on the way back? But yeah, I used to go down and I would stand there at Port of Entry area and just look over the World Showcase Lagoon and just be like, man, look at this. Like this is pretty cool. Like I'm very fortunate. I'm very lucky to be here and to be able to do these types of things. And yeah, I appreciate you being so honest. Like this has been just eye-opening for me, even like doing this type of this episode and having this conversation with you, and we're going to end it with this rapid fire questioning, which is going to be super fun. This was another idea like that you mimicked, and you added some great additional rapid fire questions. I had a couple, and then all of a sudden you were like, what about these? It's like, those are outstanding. So we're going to rapid fire it, Greg, to end this off. Your favorite Disney snack?
Pineapple tahini from Refreshment Outpost.
Ooh, that's a great one. Your favorite park?
It changes depending on what I'm doing. If I'm hanging out with friends and going to be around other people, I love Epcot. Okay. If I am going with my wife, it's Magic Kingdom. It's the memories.
Yeah. Your favorite attraction?
Ooh, easy. So easy, man. The Walt Disney World Railroad.
Oh, that's nostalgia. That's
so I'm gonna so again,
go for it.
Here goes. Let's go back for a second.
Go.
So again, the only memory I have of my parents going to Disney, or my parents, was riding the Walt Disney World Railroad, and it meant a lot to me. Now, my parents were not the greatest parents in the world. They would come twice a year, every year, and they would not take their kids because we were a burden to them.
Oh no.
So. Again, see, it's all these mental things you just bring up. But anyway, so when I learned about the history of Disney himself and how it started in his backyard, and him building these steam railroads that he was able to drive, and this garden railroad he had, it was just like, I always wanted that. But you get on the Walt Disney World Railroad and it gives you that little piece of Walt Disney. It gives you that nostalgia that you want to feel. And man, it's so cool to go around. I love behind the scenes stuff. I love being able to see what's back there. I loved seeing when Tron was being built and going under that. Like, so yeah, easy enough. Walt Disney World Railroad.
Outstanding answer. All right. Your favorite defunct attraction. What is no longer around that you wish was still around?
Captain EO? No, that's not a good answer. Who wants Captain EO? Why would I say Captain EO?
Dude, I loved Captain EO. I've said this. It's been a while since I've said it. You know what I would love? I think he's still relevant, but I know he's not really doing new music in the sense he used to. Bring back Captain EO and redo it with Bruno Mars.
Yeah, if you're a Bruno Mars fan.
I'm a Bruno Mars fan. Are you not?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
No, you know what I would want to bring back Harmonious.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Harmonious. Yeah.
I know.
No, Happily Ever After came back. Everything else is there. I'm good. I'm good right now.
All right. Favorite
River Country USA.
River
Bring
Country.
back River Country USA.
I didn't know that I had
I
ever
loved
been
it.
there until a buddy, when we went in 1986, was, I believe, my first trip ever to Disney. We went with family friends. We did not know it was going to be the father's last trip ever. He was diagnosed with cancer soon after. So it's a very memorable trip. All I remember is the photos from that trip. I don't remember it because I was 6, 7 years old. But recently, the son reached out to me on Facebook. He found me and he found old video, and he took it to a place and had it digitized. And in there was footage of us at River Country. And I didn't know I had ever been to River Country until that point, about a year or so ago.
That's really cool.
It was cool.
And on that note, bring back the railroad around Fort Wilderness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. How good would that be?
There you go. Okay. Next.
Also, River Country looked like people were going to die.
Dude, it looked janky.
It was
looked
so
like
bad.
It was like, remember Wet and Wild?
Yes.
It's just like, let's send these guys. So I live next to Action Park up in New Jersey.
You did not.
Which,
seriously?
Yeah. Oh, it was Death Trap Central. They at one point had a slide with a loop-de-loop in it. It was a water slide.
That's the one they made the movie about, right?
Yeah.
And I know it was
and it was,
highly whatever.
River
but
Country was like the southern version of that. It's
That's
just
amazing.
you know what we have? We have a river, and you're going to jump off a cliff.
Did I get to a favorite quick service restaurant?
Favorite quick service. Refreshment port for the poutine.
Okay. Favorite table service restaurant. And that could include any signature or whatever.
Tutto Italia. It is
Ooh.
the greatest food at Walt Disney World.
Oh, that's another episode.
It's seriously good, man.
I love that.
I could talk about Tutto Italia.
That's right. You talked about the Chianti, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's where I learned that limoncello afterwards is a great after dinner drink right before you go out and have watch fireworks.
You know, you can get it right there, and along with Sambuca and Amaretto, you can get it right there as shots as soon as you walk into that little spot going into Italy. We do that. We stop every night now.
I know that very well.
I get the Sambuca. Yep. All right. Your favorite resort?
It's. I want to say Port Orleans Riverside because I have memories there with my family.
Okay.
But the Contemporary is one that I've always wanted to stay at since I was a child.
Yeah.
There was something cool about seeing the Contemporary, the monorail going through a building. What?
That's amazing.
As a child, you're going, that makes no sense. Yeah. So I've always wanted to stay there. So I think that's my favorite one. I said this the other day. I've lived in Hawaii. I lived out in Maui for a few years. I don't need to go to the Polynesian. I lived out there. I'm good. Yeah. So, I think the Contemporary, Port Orleans Riverside.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Final rapid fire. Your favorite Disney character. Is it Tigger?
You would think it would be Tigger, and he's up there.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Tigger is probably, I think Tigger is meant the most to the family, and my poor daughter, who I love dearly, got the repercussions from that. It's Tigger. It's Mickey Mouse. There's something about them. I've got to meet Mickey a few times behind doors, in private meet greets and stuff. And every single time I'm a grown man weeping. And it's just, there's something about it. But Joy, I love Joy. Yeah. So it comes down to, I love Disney characters. You know what I mean?
Do.
But I can't meet. I'm not a big Disney princess character meter or face characters.
Yep.
I show them respect. I will hold on to their arm, but it's just, I'm not hugging you.
Yeah.
Whereas you give me a furry, I am all up in those furries. I am walking in there. I'm diving neck deep into their fur. Just love on me. I will hug you until you can't breathe. And then they're like, dude, get off me. You're a grown man. And I'm like, no, I'm still going to love on you. And then people have to drag me away, and it's sad. And then I look like a Disney adult.
It's amazing though. And that's where I love your outgoingness is because I do enjoy characters and I do enjoy face characters, but I have that anxiety in me that doesn't want to go up to them. We were at we did Akershus for breakfast back in December, and it was just Rhonda and I. And it was for the candlelight processional dining package to see Neil Patrick Harris, as we're known to do. And every princess comes around, and I'm like, "This is all you, Rhonda. This is it. Like, you get up, I'll take the photo. You're gonna have the interaction. It's gonna be amazing." And then Tiana comes around, who's my absolute favorite, and I'm just like, "Oh no!" And Rhonda doesn't get up. Tiana comes over to Rhonda, and Rhonda's like, actually, you're his favorite. He's gonna be the one who wants the picture." And
That's
I'm just
awesome.
like, again, in the picture, I'm just bright red faced. I don't know how to act. So I get it. The face characters are tough because of the interaction that you feel you need to have. But
I don't know where the interaction comes from. It's really easy to talk. So quick story. So, and Scott and Michelle, and basically anybody who goes to the park will say hi to them, anything. We were doing the Haunted Mansion, I think, when Hatbox Ghost was opening, and we'd walked off, and we are in the middle of, we're like at that Liberty Square Frontierland cutoff right there. And we are in the middle of a deep conversation doing the debate about what we thought. And the Country Bears, Liver Lips and Wendell are like down in on the side and that little outside little walkway you can take around everything, and they are by themselves and nobody's there, and we're in the middle again, this really and I just took off, and I was like, "Bears!" And you just see like that old cartoon thing of dust behind my feet, like. And it was like, I had to go up, and it was just like, I had to get a selfie. I had to go hug them. I had to go hang out. And Michelle and Scott are like, "Where's Greg? Did we just offend him?" And I was gone, man. Like, and I've done that to many people where I will just see a character, and I have this innate ability to just know when characters are going to pop up. And it's like, you see those blue shirts, and you're like, there's a character about to show up here. And you just run for it. And I never get in front of a child. I always make sure kids go in front of me. I will wait my turn unless they're alone. And then if they're alone, man, I get a few minutes with them. And you don't see me. I put up a bunch of reels and stuff like that of characters, but you don't see a lot of the ones I really do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of ones I don't record because I just want that memory for myself.
That's awesome. I'm gonna thank you so much for coming on. I'm learning a lot from you in the way that I want to interact in the parks, especially for something like that. When it comes down to characters, is put my guard down and just enjoy it, and get your hug and get your everything. Like, I remember when hugs came back. You remember that was the whole big thing after the pandemic, was hugs are back. You know,
what was your first? Did you hug? What was the first character you hugged?
Not me. It was Rhonda. We were coming out of Pop Century at the lobby. We were heading to the buses, and this is when they were starting to put all the 50th characters. You know, they were taking them around on the bus.
Yes.
Or that RV, it really was, decorating the 50th, and they were dropping them off at resorts, and you could just, meet whatever. And it was Donald. And Rhonda walked out, I remember, at Pop Century and saw Donald, and I was like, dude, hugs are back. Go for it. And I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna take from Greg and I'm gonna get to hugs. And this has been absolutely amazing. This has been one of my favorite conversations ever. I really appreciate you coming on. This has been so much fun. It's been enlightening. It's been deep. It's been like emotional. This has been super duper cool, man. Like, I really appreciate all this.
Well, I seriously, I appreciate you. I appreciate Rhonda. I appreciate the time. But it's there's something really cool about being able to do a show like this. Like, we live in a day and age where we can podcast and have conversations like this. But it's really cool to have spent the time and learn to have these conversations with other adults and be open, be honest, and be upfront about all this stuff. And I think what you and Rhonda do and have built is fantastic. And Main Street Magic, man, you guys have done it all pretty much. Like, keep going.
Thank you. Well, let's not talk about Main Street Magic so much as we do about Greg Gately and everything that he has going on. Go ahead. This is promo time. Where can everybody find you? What's going on in your life? What do you want to promote? This is your time, man.
Yeah, just the Funatics blog. Simple as that, man. You hear how much I talk. I don't promo myself very often, but just the Funatics blog. Look, if you have a Facebook account, just go there and subscribe to or hit like and follow on that, and you'll get all the news. We try and be as upfront and honest with no clickbait whatsoever,
Mhm.
no rumors, no nothing like that.
Yep.
We are at the parks on a daily basis, so normally you'll get park reviews every single day or know what's going on at the parks during that day, along with any press release that Disney send us. We do put out. You can also get me and Scott Atwood from the Mainstream Mouse and House of Mouse Expo on the live podcast show, which drops every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m., or at least we try to. It doesn't always happen. Scott and I have a irreverent conversation every week where you never know what's going to be talked about. And it is PG-13. It's not R-rated, so adults, just make sure that you have the dial ready. No cursing, none of that stuff, but we do a few segments where we question things. And yeah, Scott isn't such a great guy. He's turned into a really good friend of mine, who is also, and I'm helping him out with the House of Mouse Expo, which I know you and Rhonda will be there.
Yes.
So yeah, you can get us at the live podcast show. You can get me at the Funatics blog, or again, you can buy tickets for House of Mouse Expo at houseofmouseexpo.com.
Yeah. Love it. I'm so excited for House of
All the
Mouse Expo.
socials. We're all,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
I'm easy.
And seriously, everybody go follow Greg, follow, House of Mouse Expo, and the live podcast show is so good. It's honestly one of the few podcasts I listen to. Like, I really don't listen to
appreciate
much
that.
anymore.
Like,
'Cause it's just fun. It's hanging
we're
out with
only-
friends.
Yeah. That's the whole point. It's really nice because Michelle will come on, and
Yeah.
we originally started and it was Michelle was just going to come on and talk nonstop. It was going to be hardcore, just Disney news. Here's what's going on. And then her and Scott are so well together,
Yeah.
and you can tell that they're a married couple.
Yeah.
But sitting in the room, and we sit in the same room and record every single week because I like
Amazing.
that face-to-face content and being able to talk to each other. But she's fabulous, man. She's out of her shell. She's a new person if you listen to what she talks about. But she's just so smart, and Scott, along with her, those two work really well. And I love working with Scott. It's just he's so smart and has a great take on a lot of this stuff. And then you just get to hear me babble like you have heard me all night. Like, I literally give me a mic and turn off the sensors, and you get totally. It's wild, man. It is crazy. It's funny. It's once in a while you need to make a potty joke.
Yes. Always. I try and do it, especially with Festival of the Arts. You got to have farts.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
But
Greg,
thank you. Seriously, thank you very much. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate the time.
well, I appreciate your time very much. I appreciate you coming on. It will not be the last time, that's for sure. You're definitely a go-to source of all things Disney and fun. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you again soon in the parks, on the podcasting, on the social medias, all that good stuff. So, Greg, again, thank you so much. And this has just been amazing. Wow. What an absolutely incredible conversation we just got to have. And I'm so thankful that Greg made the time to spend nearly 2 hours with me talking all things Disney and way beyond. I am so excited for this series moving forward. I've already got February scheduled. I've got a list of folks I cannot wait to talk to throughout the year. I truly hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure you check out Greg on social and the Funatics blog, as well as the live podcast show that he does with Scott Atwood and his wife, Michelle Atwood. It is absolutely incredible. Thank you all so much for listening. I truly appreciate it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And we would love if you would please leave us a rating and review, because as Rhonda always says, and I'm sure Greg would say it as well, it helps our show grow. That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.